Zacks Rank Buys, stocks with a short-term buy or strong buy recommendation. Now, here are more Zacks Rank Buys. Time to identify a couple of more value stock picks for you now, and here to do that with us is Tracy Reinick, our value stock strategist at Zacks.com. Man, you've got a couple of interesting ones here.
I do.
I hope I can pronounce them. First one is Bank Colombia, CIB, the ticker symbol.
Yep.
It's the Colombian National Bank. Is that what this is?
Yeah, it's one of the largest banks in Colombia. They've been around since 1881, so they have a long history in that region. They're also one of the largest banks in El Salvador. So this is an interesting play because ever since they've kind of gotten rid of the drug issue in Colombia, the middle class is expanding like we're seeing in a lot of Latin America. And the banks are kind of at the forefront of that. They're lending out. This bank in particular saw its loan lending ratio go up last quarter, in the third quarter, by like over 7%. Their bad loans are going down. They didn't have the toxic asset mortgage issue that a lot of the Western banks have had. Mm-hmm. So they, have been growing steadily. They continue to pay a dividend, which they paid all through the financial crisis, which is like 2.4%, which isn't bad. And they have this expansion because their middle class is growing. So there's some real good, interesting things going on with these Latin American banks. On the estimate side, analysts are really bullish on what's going on for this year. They're expecting a 17% earnings gain, and then next year another 25% earnings gain for this reason, because the credit is expanding down there as the middle class grows. So, it's not very expensive. It's trading around 12 times because this earnings growth. The chart is interesting. It looks a lot like the stocks, everything looks. Big bounce off the lows in March of 2009. It has pulled back a little bit recently, so that's made the stock a little bit more attractive here. But it has these good valuations. All
right, and then you also wrote about Brazilian airline Golinhas recently, GOL, the ticker symbol, at the national airline of Brazil.
Kind of. They're kind of like the Southwest of Brazil, which is an interesting niche because, Southwest has been really profitable doing that whole low cost and flying from like regional city to city. Yep. And that's what GOL is doing. They were actually founded in 2001, and they've expanded from something like 5 planes, and they have 112 now, and they're expected to have 115 by the end of this year. They fly to all the major Brazilian cities, and then they've expanded out into, neighboring countries and other good regional areas for them. The interesting thing about them is that one thing that could kind of squelch their growth is that the airports can't handle all the traffic suddenly in Brazil and in that region. So that is going to be something to watch with them. But earnings, they're seeing a little bit of difficulty in earnings this year compared to last year. But next year, the analysts expect the earnings to basically double as this continued expansion happens. And the GDP, Brazil GDP, is expected to grow like 5%, which means their middle class will be traveling more as incomes rise. So all these things are good for local regional airlines. The chart is kind of interesting on this one. I put up the 5-year because they were pretty pricey back before the crisis. They really dropped off, but they haven't regained that pre-crisis level yet. But the shares are decently priced. They're trading around 13, 14 times. And they also pay a dividend, which is interesting, of about 2.7%, which is a nice little yield you can get by owning in this airline.
Well, if they can't handle the traffic, they'll just have to expand the airport.
That's in the works, too. They're already talking about all
really?
that. Yeah.
See?
Oh, yeah.
Tell you, just come here, you get all the answers. Do you own either of these two?
I do not.
All right, check out more stock pick ideas for yourself on our homepage, Zacks.com. We put 4 new ones up there for you daily, one in each of the investing categories written about on Zacks.com. With Tracy Reinick, I'm Terry Ruffalo.